welcome to another episode of the Geek Saga. This is episode number dos, number 2 for those of you that do not speak Espanol. I barely speak it, but I'm trying.
The mother tongue.
The mother tongue from the motherland that I don't want to
go to. Duolingo.
Hey, Rosetta Stone, man. I did it for about 2 weeks.
Rosetta Stone. I use Duolingo.
Again, I'm Eugene, and as always with me is my host of the most, the biggest head.
The biggest head in genre media, Jose.
So we are here for episode number 2, and we are going to dive right into what we like to call geek gossip. So what is our geek gossip for today, Jose? And we're going to start off with, seems like a pretty big story.
Yeah, this is, everyone that's covering this is calling this a game changer. WB is Warner Brothers Media is actually released a trailer saying that they're going to release all their 2021 slate of movies, both in theaters, whatever is available, but HBO Max on the same day, with no premium cost. It's just going to be you have the service, you have these movies now. It is a 17 film slate that they just announced, and starting with Wonder Woman 84 this Christmas. They're doing it Christmas. They'll hit this is a 1 month window in which they'll play in theaters and on HBO Max. And so this is going to change the way people view movies across the board. I mean, if there's no extra cost whatsoever, you're looking at people abandoning movie theaters. That's the reality. Like, because you don't want to pay, some places up to $25 per person when, what is it, $12, $15 for HBO Max service? I don't know. I don't have HBO Max.
I actually have HBO Max, so it's $15 a month that I'm paying, but it's on top of my Hulu that I'm also paying for, and my Netflix that I'm paying. Well, actually, I got rid of Netflix. But this is definitely a huge game changer, because it was a huge thing to go to the movies, especially when these big movies came out. You go, you're excited. If you had to stand in line, whatever. I actually remember going and seeing Return of the Jedi in the movie theaters when it first came out with my dad. And it was a huge thing. Yeah. It was a huge thing just to go to the movies. And we've been seeing slowly a decline in the moviegoers, because obviously the prices of tickets are going up. And then on top of that, your concession stands were freaking jacked up, So we were already seeing moviegoers die down. But, to hear something like this is just insane. It's depressing, honestly, because we are going to see the death of movie theaters. If every other studio follows suit, which they may not, because they could still see the value with a movie theater. If all the cooties go away, we can start going back into the movie theaters. Yeah. But they can also see a huge decline in cash coming to them, because think about it. You said the list of movies was Dune.
Dune.
Suicide Squad.
Matrix 4.
Black Adam. Tom and Jerry.
Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah. Mortal Kombat. If you guys care, Space Jam Legacy.
Not really. No. That's fine. You can put that on. Put it on DVD. We can let that go to bed on
DVD.
Doesn't even go to streaming. DVD, it goes to DVD.
So this is how it's supposed to work. Whatever the release date of the movie is, let's say the arbitrary day, June 1st, okay? A movie releases June 1st. It's going to hit the theater and the streaming service for 31 days, and then they're going to remove it from HBO Max, which, that's what he said? Yeah, for 1 month, and it starts Okay, that's weird. I don't understand. But that's what that's what it says. A 31-month window, and then they'll pull it from I guess from HBO Max if I'm reading this right. And then I don't know, put it back on later. I don't know. This is really doesn't make much sense.
It kind of, to an extent, it kind of makes sense, because if you think about this, so it's going to go for free for 31 days. Then they're going to pull it, and then it'll be up for grabs by, say, someplace like Amazon Prime, where they're on there, you either rent it or you buy it if you want to see it again, or you didn't get to see it. So that kind of makes sense in a way that they're thinking, because Amazon, I mean, come on. Amazon is the next biggest thing also, as far as when it comes to the movies. Yeah. And for the last months
and stuff like that.
Yeah. Last months, I've been seeing a lot more movies being put on Amazon Prime for either early access or just to view, and you got to pay the $20 for the movie itself. So Warner Brothers is obviously looking at streaming services like that to be able to still recoup some of their money. Is it going to be possible? I don't think so. I think they're going to actually take a huge hit, and they're going to lose a lot of money. One of the things
I really believe that Warner Brothers is not taking in consideration, as soon as something hits the internet, it's fair game, like in terms of like piracy, which is it's a shame. But that's a reality. The moment they put it online, it's online, and then nobody can stop it. Yeah. Before, when it was in theaters, you would have to get some sort of random bootleg that had like Russian subtitles,
or it's dudes getting up, walking to go take a leak.
Now, yeah, that's what you had to deal with. But you put it online, it is far more easier to take and distribute it online, and that's a risk right there. I don't know how desperate Warner Brothers is. I know that they're they have like a lot of financial hardship. AT&T, when they purchased them, was already in the red, and then all of DC media has not been making any money for them after they purchased Warner Brothers, and that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that purchasing Warner Brothers, and they'll get these tentpole movies was going to put them back in the black. And then COVID hit, and that ruined everything for all these major companies. And so this is desperation right here. They've studied some sort of findings about streaming from the Disney's, attempts with Mulan and the Trolls thing with Universal, because they made, buckets of money off that movie, oddly enough.
My kids watched it like 4 times.
You're looking at something that oh gosh, yeah. I didn't watch it. Mine did too. I left somewhere, anywhere. I didn't care for those movies. Oh gosh, the movies were horrible. But you're looking at something where this can bite them badly. I forgot who was commenting on it. I don't know if it was Yellow Flash or Nerdrotic that was saying. I think it was Yellow Flash. No, not Yellow. Was it Popcorn Planet? I was watching like every single video that came out on this, because it was that big of a deal. And I forgot who said it, and I wish I can give them the credit. But they said, what happens if next year they open back up? They released a trailer. I think like a 20-second trailer, 25-second trailer that talked about this is their plan for next year. And let's say they open back up next year. Do they, go back on that announcement? Do they say, oh, that was just for the, COVID season and renege on everything? Like, that's a possibility. Now, everyone that's subscribed to HBO Max for this reason, because there's going to be people that are, Dune is a huge get right now. You're, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and you're going to put that only on HBO Max and whatever 2 movie theaters that are playing it. That is a huge thing, where you can shoot yourself in the foot because that is a huge movie right now. Like that's the next year. That was like the movie that I was looking forward to. I'm looking at this list. I didn't like the first Suicide Squad. Don't really care that Gunn is directing a new one. Matrix 4, I have no interest in that movie whatsoever. Kong versus Godzilla
after
versus
the
Kong,
giant dance orgy of Matrix,
I'm a huge Godzilla fan. And Godzilla versus, I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I watched every single one of them, even the weird Japanese anime ones that were on Netflix. But I'm not interested in this movie whatsoever. I didn't like Kong. I didn't like the second Godzilla movie.
Oh, dude.
King of Monsters. I like the first one. I actually liked the first one.
I liked King of Monsters.
The second one
was the one I liked.
Nah, it didn't do it for me. But yeah, it was and so like Mortal Kombat, dude, if they don't get like Christopher Lambert, he's not back. Lambert, he's not in that. No, I don't care. Like,
I think somebody took his head off, so he was the one. No longer.
So he's not coming back. I don't care. Like, and then the rest of the list. So the only one that I was actually looking forward to was Dune. I oddly enough like the original.
Oh, dude, I love the original. No, I loved it. I mean, freaking Sting. Oh my gosh, can't go wrong.
Sting. It's a weird long movie. It's convoluted. It doesn't really have much to do with the books. If you guys read the books, but I really liked it. The giant space worms and everything, man. I was on board.
Well, visually it was,
and so
good.
When I heard, and so they're gonna do this remake, and I was like, okay, they got Denis Villeneuve, which is, he's been hit or miss, but I really do like his other movies, and so I'm like, okay, this can be really good, and he's definitely a theater guy. I think if anyone is upset like if you look at all the directors that are like, James Gunn for Suicide Squad,
well, I think most of those other directors and all those other movies, they're not going to be too upset because guess what? They got their money already. They don't their only thought is like, okay, well, people are still going to see it and I got my money. So, so be it. I don't think they're really going to hurt that bad because, I mean, off the back end, they'll still
Patty
pick up
Jenkins
something.
Came out.
What was that?
Yeah, Patty Jenkins has been the director of Wonder Woman. She's kind of come out and been like diplomatic and like how she's approached it. I don't think she likes it. I think like the real like filmmakers, they're not going to really care for this. That's why I'm saying like Denis Villeneuve, possibly. I think Patty Jenkins might be upset because like her movies are like, this was her baby, dude. Like this is the one that she was like looking forward, like releasing, and then they're like, it's not gonna come out to next year, and then now it's not gonna come out at all. Well, it is, but not to the tune that she would like.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't know.
We're gonna have to move.
It just seems like okay.
Sorry.
Like I said, this is a game changer.
It is
a game changer, though.
You know what? I think we got a pretty bad delay between us.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm like saying something and you're still going, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh yeah." Do that, or you just ignore me. But that's okay.
Okay. Could be.
But yeah, this is definitely going to be a huge game changer. It's going to suck because we're going to run out. We won't have movie theaters. Who knows? We may not have movie theaters. It may become a novelty, or they may make a huge comeback the way kind of drive-ins have been making a comeback because of all that's been going on. So
yeah,
this sucks. I feel bad for our kids because they're not going to be able to grow up the way we had, at least not for a while, the way we had it where we can just go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
So now that we are done with Geek Gossip, we're going to move on to more of, I guess, the next segment, or what we're going to be actually going into, which is Smallville. So, because as of right now, none of you guys can see what I have behind me, which is the Fortress of Solitude. The only one that can see that is Jose, which his background is actually the Bat Signal. It's Gotham City. It's funny. Superman versus Batman going on here. I don't know, but the
could be.
Yeah. As long as I don't say Martha.
There's a person that goes to our church and her name is Martha, and whenever they say her name, dude, I was like, why did you say that name? And then my daughter hits me because she's like, why do you keep doing that?
Because it's funny.
Like, please stop.
So
she doesn't get it, dude. She doesn't.
So now we're moving into the subject that was the reason why we started this podcast, because Jose came up to me, or actually didn't even come up to me. It was more over a text message, and it was, yo, what are you up to? I said, nothing. Mm-hmm. He says, you want to watch Smallville with me? I thought it was a little weird that a dude's asking me to watch Smallville with him, but it's Jose. So I was like, sure. I guess. I mean, why not? You know, because his whole reason behind it was because nobody else wants to watch it with me. So I was like, oh, I felt bad. So let's do it.
Yeah, no one in my household wanted to watch this early 2000s TV show with me. They were like, no, you can watch it by yourself. And then, like, I wanted to watch it and talk to someone about it because I had watched the episode, the first one, and I was like, this is really weird. But if I talk to someone about it, ain't no one going to get it. No one's going to understand what I'm talking about the moment I start just telling them, like, about, you know, Lex Luthor finding some dude in his underwear in the field. And
whoa. You got to save that. Got to save that.
See, nobody's going to get the reference right now until you guys watch the show. And so
it's true.
It was also a way for us to talk about the comic book and comic book movies, and without there being like so much negativity surrounding it. They're like, no one's saying anything negative about Smallville, at least not yet.
Not until we cover
so we
it.
Wanted to talk. Yeah, not until we cover it. But it's a really kind of lighthearted take. It follows Superman, but before he's Superman, hence the name Smallville. It's his time while he's still in Kansas. I watched the show as it released, like every week. It was, if I remember right, is a Tuesday release date like this. So every Tuesday night, I think around 9. I think it played back to back with something else, if I remember right. And so it would air, I would watch it, and then next week I would be back. Like, no one gets that. It's weird. Now people are experiencing what we used to go through, and now they complain about it. Like, why is Mandalorian releasing every week? Well, that's how we grew up. Okay, you guys cry now about it. No one, we didn't have the benefit of binging an entire season in a day.
Well, not only that, but
didn't exist.
If you missed the episode, you missed it.
Oh yeah,
you were done. Yeah. You did not know what was going on, and it's like, oh man, how am I going to watch this again? I'm going to have to wait till it's in reruns, but who knows how long that's going to be, if they're going to even show it maybe over the summer in reruns. But you know, now you kids stinking have it easy. Yes, if you miss when Mandalorian drops, you can see it the next day. And then if you want to, you can go back and start from the beginning and watch the whole thing. Like you said, you go binge watch something now or back then. And I had to wait till it came out on DVD.
Yeah. Maybe if it was popular, you got to rerun during the summer. But there was very few shows got that luxury. That's why a lot of the shows were episodic. Like that was one of the main things why they didn't have like this super long story arcs. They were more episodic, was because if you did miss it, it was okay. You didn't miss like this huge story beats. That didn't start happening until like season 2 or 3. No, I think 3 is when they actually started doing like these huge overarching stories, and or if you did miss something, like, oh, I hope someone has it so I can watch it. And
well,
that's why I actually started, because we didn't have TiVos. I actually started taping them just in case.
Well, that's when TiVo was out, right?
Yeah, it had just started coming out around that time.
But you had to actually
so that allowed for people. Yeah, so I actually had a VCR. I would put a tape in there, set the timer. So if I did miss it, it would tape, and if I was there, I would just watch it and let it still tape so I could watch it again later. That was that guy. And I also did that with Pokemon, so don't judge me. You're talking about like going to a movie theater and having that movie theater experience. Yeah, that I did that on opening day, Pokemon, the first movie. I was a 21-year-old man in line with, I kid you not, a bunch of like 7 to 8 year old kids. And I was like, I'm in front, suckers. You guys got here late. Not my fault your mom couldn't bring you here.
I drove myself.
I drove. I have a car, guys. Just looking at me. They even had like these little weird like booster seats to like all of the kids, and I was just like, should I get one? I kind of feel awkward that I don't have one. Everyone else does. Yeah, that's the movie going experience that you guys will miss because of Warner Brothers.
Oh, that's funny, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I did not watch this when it originally came out. I'm late to the show. I'm late to the game here because I watched one episode and I was just like, actually, what was already turning me off was all the billboards for it. I'm seeing a half-naked dude with freaking the S painted on his chest, and I'm like, what is this? It says Smallville. Yeah. I was like, what? And then I started finding out what it was, and then I was like, well, I'll give it a chance and watch the first episode, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I can't do this.
I was on board. I watched the pilot episode is a bit rough to get through, especially when like you start to like I didn't nitpick like the first episode. I was like, but there was some inconsistencies with how old Clark looks and how old he is.
You know what? We might as well get into it then. Yeah. let's just roll with that. And it's just because I mean we keep referencing it, and it's like I want to say more, but we're gonna get right into it with episode 1. The title of it was just the pilot. That was it.
Pilot.
And this is, what year was this again when it came out? 2001. Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
So we're talking 2001, and I'm long out of high school by this point.
Yep.
And Jose is out of high school by this point.
Yeah.
So we are in all essence adults, and we sat down to watch the show. Jose, we watched it. Obviously, I didn't know Jose at this time. And I was actually just watching it again today because I was like, I better refresh myself on this because it's been a while since I watched episode 1. As it opens up, as we talked about before, it's a cold opening. No music. Just, I felt like when I was watching, I was like thinking, space. The final front. Nope, there goes a rock.
I think it was a rock right there. I thought it was even Star Wars because they have the slow pan down from space. I was like, oh, it's kind of like Star Wars, and then the overhead. I was like, oh, okay, it's still kind of like Star Wars, and then it goes like directly into
we see the ship
Earth from space.
Yeah,
the ship coming in between. Like it's like nestled in between rocks that are coming in. Yeah, the official date that it started was October 16, 2001.
Okay. But now, one thing that I noticed, and I was like looking, I was like, that's a lot of freaking rock following this ship. Now, how close was freaking Krypton to Earth if there's that much meteor still following this ship up to this point? Or how big was this planet that it was that big of an explosion that's going to fling that much rock towards our Earth that those pieces are still big enough to not burn up in the atmosphere and just land in Smallville?
Yeah, and that's a weird thing too. Like it's not the ship has a propulsion system. You see that, like it has a little blue flame coming out the back, so it has its own propulsion system. So it's not being propelled by just the explosion of the planet. But these rocks are matching it in speed, and actually some of them are passing it by.
Yeah, and
I was like, yeah, it's a strange thing. Like how they don't ever reference like how close Krypton and in this show They do. I know in the comic books they mention it's like some sort of galaxy. I forgot what. I can probably look it up, but
I mean, when you watch the original Superman movie, and we see that ship flying from Krypton, the original Superman was in that little crystal ship that when it was flying, it almost looked like it went through like warp speed because we're seeing like all kinds of different colors as he's flying, being flung through space towards Earth. Well,
they have it in the Andromeda Galaxy is where it is, according to Mark Waid, his comic book Superman Birthright. It's Krypton was in the Andromeda Galaxy, which is roughly about 2.5 million light years from Earth. No, the Milky Way galaxy is 27.1. Oh, they changed. That's why it says 2.5 million light years in the movie Man of Steel is how far it was. But if it's from the Andromeda Galaxy to the Milky Way galaxy, it's 27.1 light years. It's a weird, like how they changed that.
Okay, but still, that's a long way for those rocks. Yeah, long way for those rocks to travel at the same speed as that little ship. So already I'm like,
it starts off in the year 1989, though.
Yeah. Hey, 89 was a good year.
So that kind of gives you right there. It starts off in the year 1989 in October to coincide with the release of the TV show released in October. And so that's a weird thing to have a start, but then it gives you the sign for Smallville, which talks about that it's the cream corn capital of the world.
Yeah, that is like the oddest thing to be proud of. We make cream corn. Oh, okay. That's great. Good for you guys. And then as we go on, because one of the big things
in that same cold open, they reference Oliver Queen. It says the newspaper says Queen Industries CEO missing, presumed dead. And if you know the comic books, Oliver Queen was on a boat out to sea, gets lost at sea, trains, comes back, and there's the Arrow or Green Arrow. So in this universe, cool. Oliver Queen. Yeah, I mean it's a really quick Easter egg as Lex's dad then goes to start yelling at the poor kid because he's scared.
Dude, that's jacked up. He's all like, "Open your eyes." I'm like, dude, relax. Let the kid be afraid.
Open your eyes. My son is not a weakling. Oh, like that's messed up.
No, but he is a redhead with no soul. So I mean, come on. Yeah. Jeez.
He's a ginger, and which stays true to the comic books. He was a ginger in the comic books. I hope I don't offend gingers out there.
But if you guys don't know, what the comic book history is that Superman, well, it was Superboy and Lex Luthor were actually friends, which when you look back into the history of it, Lex Luthor was older than Clark, even in the comic books. Yeah. I mean, he was a lot older, and it was a really creepy comic book.
Weird friendship.
He was obsessed with...
kind of a weird friendship.
Well, in the comic books, he was obsessed with Superboy, had a whole wall of his thing, of his achievements. It's like, dude, that's creepy. You're creeping on a kid. Dirty old man.
It's not much better in the show, though.
True.
To be honest.
No, you're right. But, so that is a cool Easter egg that even then it was almost like Warner Brothers was hinting at a possible more shows to come.
And which is cool because the idea of like a joined universe or anything like that didn't exist at this time, kids. There was no MCU at this time. You had maybe Blade. That's what you had. You had Blade, and that was about it.
Blade the Taxi Vader. That was supposed to be part 5. But then we move on and we get introduced to the Kents, which we see the good old boy, which they should have had him roll up in the freaking General Lee. That would have been the best.
The General Lee.
And we see also, not only do we see the good old boy who's playing Pa Kent, but we see Lana Lang from Superman 3, Annette O'Toole playing his mom.
Yeah, and he plays his mom, which, like, that was what I oddly enough like the third movie. It's kind of weird, and Richard Pryor's in it trying to be funny. They introduce a bunch of things in the Superman lore, including Rip Kryptonite in that movie. But yeah, to have her be Ma Kent was really like, I remember watching. I'm like, that's Lana Lang. Like, I'm on board now. Like, first of all, they got one of the Duke brothers, and they got Lana Lang, and I'm like, okay, I'm on board for this show. It didn't take much to hook me. It was like they had Oliver Queen mentioned the front in the first, and then they had like Ma Kent, and then the good old boy, and I was like, okay, I think I'm on board now. So it didn't take much to get me on board with the show.
Yes, but what kind of derailed it is, as they're going along, and all of a sudden, the freaking meteors are coming down from the sky, destroying everything. And again, how the heck did those huge, these are some big meteors coming down, hitting the Earth. It's straight Armageddon style. And they're just destroying everything. And then once it's all said and done, because at this point, we've also seen Baby Lana Lang, who we see her and she's all cutesy and everything, saying that I'm not a fairy princess. I'm a fairy, not a princess. And then we see her cry because her parents just got jacked up by a meteor.
The only death scene that I can recall that's like that is in the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh God!
That when his dad gets out of the plane and he's like, "Son," he makes eye contact with the boy and then blows up, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what it reminds me of."
No,
just the girls looking the little girls looking right at the parents because they had just showed up from they were in Metropolis and they came back to Smallville to pick her up because she was staying with the aunt, and they turn, they look at her, they wave, and then boom.
Well, it kind of reminded me of
like mommy, daddy, boom. I was like, oh.
But it kind of reminded me of Man of Steel when he makes Costner's right there with his moment, and he's like, no, and then boom, freaking hurricane took him, a tornado.
I know what. Okay. That's a sore spot because to me that is the one of when I saw that scene, the rest of the movie didn't matter because I couldn't get past that scene because Pa Kent in the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah,
and Clark talking with his mother and said, "I have all these powers, yet I couldn't save him." That right there is that should be always Superman's plight. Like, people say it's hard to write Superman because he can do everything. But right there, that idea in which he does have unlimited power, but he is not capable in saving everybody. That should be what motivates him to either to be better, or that should always be a constant conflict in his heart. It may be even the reason why he shouldn't do it, because does he even accomplish anything really good in the end, since so much tragedy still happens? That should always be what is the main conflict of Superman. And they do that in the first, I think, 20 minutes of that movie. And Zack Snyder wasn't able to do that for me with them showing all of him growing up and then their dad getting sucked into a vacuum. That's what it looked like. He just he got like it was one, I started to laugh, which is not something you should do when you're trying to have a heartfelt moment. And again, that it goes back to writing. The sacrifice did not make sense. He already saved a group of kids in front of another dude there was no real repercussions for it, I'm pretty sure you could have saved your dad, and nobody was going to say anything. I don't think that there was going to be FBI showing up in Smallville because a boy rescued his dad. That's, to me, the sacrifice didn't make sense, and that goes to the writing.
We got to come. I got to reel you back in because we're going on a tangent. But wait.
Yeah, Lex Luthor's over there in the field.
We see Lana Lang's ugly face. Like, she's an ugly kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that crying face.
That little. I'm sorry. That poor girl. Because later on they reference that face again, like on a magazine cover.
It was on Time magazine.
Time magazine. That's right, Time magazine. And she's just like, I'm like, that is a picture you do not want to be circulated anywhere.
And everybody in the world is seeing that.
And Lex Luthor's in a field. He sees a guy in his underwear with the S on his chest, and so it's already like they're setting something up, and a meteor hits not too far from him, and straight up just knocks all the hair off his head. Like, everything's gone. Like, it's just gone.
Dude,
Dad finds him in a field that's flattened. It's a cornfield.
That's a bad meteor.
Kids like, and kids under some like corn.
And I think that's the only time. That's the only time his dad looked a little like he had emotion for his son.
Yeah, toward his son. No, his son is bald.
That cue ball.
Just he's like just bald and just in comatose state because he's not saying anything to his dad. His eyes are open, so he's not like, he's just shuddering. And he has like little wisps of hair coming through the bald cap.
So all this is coming down, and we know that the next thing is the Kents were driving home during this meteor shower, which honestly, if a meteor hit the way it did in front of them, they would have been dead.
Yeah.
And I swear that the same truck that they had when the season started is the same truck they still had later on down the line when we see, Clark is now older and they're still driving the same truck. And that truck throughout the seasons got beat the hell up, dude. It's like they just keep fixing it. It's like, dude, obviously your truck is a target. Why even fix it? Just go get a new one. But so we see Clark coming, before we even know that his name's going to be Clark, we see the kid come up and get them out. And then it was Ma Kent basically saying, oh my God, this baby's from heaven. He's mine.
Yeah. She straight up like just claims a kid. I don't think that's how it works. No. I'm not super familiar with the adoption practices and laws, but I don't think you just could be like, this kid's mine now.
Well, she said it's because she wished for it, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, because the fairy godmother like hit her in the head with her wand.
Yeah. So remember that, folks. If you want a kid, just wish and have an ugly crier who says she's a fairy hit you over the head, and you can keep whatever baby you find.
Whatever random baby you find is yours now. Our lawyers are saying you can't just take a kid because the fairy godmother said. Our lawyers just told us that we can't say that.
Sorry, I retract that all. We're disregard what I just said.
Our legal team has just notified us that no, you cannot advise people to take kids.
Oh, so after all this, we fast forward to how many years is it? Like,
it says all it does is say today.
Yeah.
So if it's current time, and it was 1989 to 2001, that's 12 years, right? My math. I didn't think I was going to do math today.
But it's supposed to be Clark's freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
This is what we're establishing, and this is what we went around and around in circles before about how old are these kids supposed to be, because they act older than I am, and I'm a full-grown adult.
Yeah, and he looks like a full-grown adult.
Yes.
First of all, like Tom Welling, who plays Clark Kent, first of all, is just a big guy. You're looking at
what was he, 6'4", 6'5", something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he towers over everybody else in the show. And then
he is 6'3".
Okay, so 6'3". So that's a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
I knew guys that were, like 6 foot, 6'2" by the time I got to high school.
Yeah.
They were big guys, but they were like juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
I think I only knew one kid that was really tall, but he was like all skinny and stuff.
Yeah, not doesn't look like. Obviously, he's a good 20-year-old, because he was born in 1977.
Oh, dude! So he was in
2001.
2001. He was 20. Well, shoot, he's a year older than me.
Yeah. So he's like 43 right now. So
yeah. So he was. Oh God! Now I'm doing math. All right, so he was in his 20s. Let's just move on before we sit here trying to
math is going to be the downfall of this podcast.
30 minutes later. So we carry the one, and then
I didn't know I was going to have to do math. Okay. All right.
But
okay.
So
one of the things we have to mention, though, really quick, is the music. Okay. The music in it, because I'm watching the bits and pieces of the show as I read my notes. The music of this show is early 2000s all the way. We're looking at when Jonathan and Martha Kent show up to the flower shop. It's Bruce Hornsby's "The Way It Is," and right now, as Clark is like looking. I'm looking at him. He's like reading, like these little news clips. It's Eagle Eye Cherry, "Long Way Around,"
which I did have that CD.
So that's and so as we get to certain parts, I'll mention like what song. But yeah, you're looking at the soundtrack to this show, including in this episode, it doesn't have the theme song, and we'll cover it in the next episode where it actually has a theme song. But yeah, this episode is like jam packed with just everything. You guys do like a Spotify search and just put. Don't they have a Smallville playlist?
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't. I was really hoping you wouldn't bring that up, because yeah. So if I searched Smallville on Spotify and I downloaded the playlist, and it's the songs of my 20s.
Yeah, so if you guys want to experience what it was like when we were just out of high school and the music that was a soundtrack to our young adult life, just go to Spotify, Smallville soundtrack, and you'll get a pretty good idea what we were listening to.
I went camping, and we went fishing, and Mel said, "Can you play some music?" And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what to put." So I was like, "Oh, I'll just go with the Smallville soundtrack." And even she stopped and looked at me, and she's like, "I'm sorry, what are you playing? What are you doing?" I was like, "It's Smallville. It's soundtrack. This is my 20s." She's like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
But so yeah, we hear this, and we see it's like Scooby and the gang when we see him meeting up with his friends, and it's like we get an intro to kind of his crew, Chloe and oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
What's his name?
What's his name?
What's his name? Pete.
Yes, Pete. Yes, and out of all three of them, the only one that looks like he belongs in high school is Pete.
Yeah. He has a very young look to him. where Tom Welling does look like he should be teaching a class instead of being in class, especially a freshman, along with Chloe, who, not to like knock her, like there's a bunch of other reasons too, but she looks significantly older than both of them actually.
Oh yeah.
Like she's not like, doesn't have like an old face, but just her demeanor, the way she carries herself, she is way more mature than both of them. And and you get a little glimpse of his power as he speeds off to school after he misses the bus, and you kind of see them like their shocked faces that he somehow got there.
Yeah, so even when you look around at like some of the high schoolers that are in his school, it's like clearly these are not high schoolers. No. I mean, it's just, and then this is when we actually find out a little bit about, obviously we find out about Clark's crush, which is Lana Lang. We finally see Lana all grown up without the ugly cry face, but we see her cry, right?
Yeah, she cries. She cries quite a bit in this series.
Yeah, and she still kind of has that ugly crying face, even as old as she.
Yeah, she just got older. She played by Kristen Couric. I'm sorry if I'm butchering her last. I never learned how to say her name. I think it's Kristen Couric.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah,
but we also see that like. We see him trying to walk up to her, and all of a sudden he gets all like weak and trips over, and his friends mention that he always gets like that when he's around her. And this is when we're kind of introduced to what's around her neck.
Yeah, they count down and boom, just collapses. He just plops down to the floor, and they mock him. They can't get within 5 feet of him. There's an actual radius of around Lana Lang that Clark cannot pass without just constantly looking like a doofus. They say total freak shows how they refer to him. And then they go to one of the most obvious throwbacks to Superman is where like he's reading Nietzsche, and she says, "Oh, are you man or Superman?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to figure that out."
as he's still getting pretty sick because of that freaking necklace of hers, which they do like a close up of it, don't they?
Yeah, so they constantly like see it, and they like glint light off it to show that it's definitely like almost a gem-like material.
Which, if you don't know what that is already, I mean, it's kryptonite.
And it's the little green rock that makes Superman weak. And almost from the very beginning of his comic book run, they had to the writers was it Simon and Schuster?
It was Jerry Siegel.
Yeah, just Siegel and Schuster.
And Schuster, yeah.
And they had to figure out a way to make Superman weak because, again, in the comic book, especially the early one, the earlier run of Superman, it was literally like said of him that the only thing Superman can't do is something he's never tried to do. That he literally could do anything as long as he had the opportunity to do it. So if he wanted to learn how to cook, the dude can cook. If he wanted to learn how to play chess, he can do that. Like there was nothing that could not be accomplished by him, is how they had him in his early run. And so they needed something to make him have any type of weakness. And so they introduced the rock kryptonite. And I don't remember, I have to look that up, but I don't remember it actually being tied to the planet until a little bit later, where they're like, oh no, it's like rocks from his planet that exploded, and it makes him weak.
Yeah, I don't exactly know when they finally tied that in with it, but I mean, we see that's the reason why he gets weak, is because she's got this little piece of green rock around her neck, and he's always like, but the funny thing is that they just chalk it up to, or anybody could chalk it up to, he's growing up. It's puberty. Yeah, he gets weak around a girl. and he's awkward, and because he's this huge freaking giant among these kids, is 6'3",
14-year-old.
Yeah. So as we keep going on, and
yeah, they introduce Whitney.
Yeah,
I hate Whitney.
Oh, I hate that dude. His hair.
Yeah, that's Lana Lang's boyfriend. She starts off with a boyfriend, so it's the will they won't they type thing from the very beginning. Whitney is the worst.
Oh God, he is.
Yeah. Then they introduce the villain of the week here. After Whitney whisked her away, you see a guy staring at a glass, and this is the villain. He was the guy that was in his drawers with the S on his chest in the beginning, in which Lex saw when he was a kid, and the meteor hit.
Which this is where
Lex then yeah, go ahead.
This is where they start doing. It's kind of in each episode we're going to see is that, at least for the first season for sure, it's the villain of the week. I remember reading about that and how they said that it started to started becoming a little harder each week to try to think of something for them to put into each episode, because they've already started this villain of the week, which, whereas as we see now, it's become it was becoming a norm where it was like, even in Supernatural, which I love that show, they did the villain of the week, but there was only so far they can go before they had to switch to more of an episodic thing, which we're going to see with Smallville. Like you said, by season 3, it's kind of like they've run out of the villain of the week, and now they've got to switch over to something to try to keep your attention still.
X-Files did it too. X-Files did but they alternated their storylines, where they had the monster of the week, but then they had what they referred to as the lore episodes, which kind of give you more idea of the mystery and the secrets and stuff like that behind the X-Files. And so that they were smart to be like, we can't do this forever, so we're gonna have to switch it up. Smallville didn't learn that until a couple seasons in, and then they started playing later seasons with the introducing some of the rest of the DC heroes, which we can't wait to get to.
Oh my God, the costumes that they got for them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so we see the first villain of the week, which I remember us talking about this after watching this episode, about how this kid got his powers, which was, and this is how it's kind of explained for each of the villains that we're going to end up running into, which is, it's whatever their situation is what their power was going to kind of reflect more of. So this guy, which I didn't know, because we see later that he has electricity coming out of him, that because he was hung up, he was electrolyte deficient because of dehydrated. And when the meteor hit, it sped everything up, and he became like electrified. Mm-hmm. Which
literally, his body started producing like massive amounts of energy to make up for the deficiency, and in doing so, made him look young. He just looks young too, because he looks the same age as he was with when he was hanging up in there. And again, if our math is on point, he's roughly about 12 years.
Yeah, so he should be in his, like, if it was like a senior or a junior back then, like around there, so he should be like 17. So he would be roughly in his 30s.
Yeah,
by this point.
30s. Then it goes into this weird thing with Pete, and this is kind of like in the first couple of episodes, it's like this huge thing between Clark, his dad, and even with Pete a little bit, the fact that Clark and Pete want to join football, because if they do, they won't get picked on. Because oddly enough, as good looking as Tom Welling is, he is a nerd, and they get picked on in this time frame. Not now. Geek is like really cool, but back then, boys and girls, if you were a geek, you got bullied. No matter how piercing blue eyes you had, you still got bullied. And so the whole thing is that Pete and Clark want to join the football team, so that way they don't get picked to be the Scarecrow, which is what we saw the villain in his drawers. That's what they refer to him, as a Scarecrow. They hang him up in a cornfield, put an S on their chest, and leave him out there all night on the homecoming game. It was like, so that's the kind of like the B plot. A plot is this dude who's trying to murder everyone. B plot is football game. And now we're going to get introduced into the C plot, which is Lex Luthor almost kills Clark by hitting him with a car.
With the car, yeah.
Yeah, straight up hits him with a car. And it is really good. Okay, we're going to talk about the special effects too every once in a while and how corny they are. Like this early 2000 CG is not doing so well. The music that's playing, though, is Unstoppable by The Calling.
I wonder why they're playing that.
You think? Yeah, a lot of them is weird. It's a little bit on the nose, a lot of the stuff. Yeah, and so a piece of metal rolls out. He dodges, tries to dodge it. He hits Clark as Clark's standing by the railing, and it is a good practical effect. They do a mix of practical and special effects in this show, and the practical effects to me hold up because Lex, tries to downshift, hits this metal, it's in the middle, and just nails them. And the actor does like this weird like barrel roll and right into the water. You can tell it's an actual person. That a car actually goes into the water, and so like almost every episode they wreck a car for I don't know. I guess they had the budget for that. The majority of the budget of the show went to wrecking cars.
Yeah, it didn't go to the CG. That's
Someone
for sure.
Really hates cars. Oh gosh, no.
What's funny is that Smallville actually won an award, and surprisingly, it won its award for its special effects. It's CG special effects.
Oh, that's not even the practical. If it was a practical, I'd be like, okay, I can see that. But no, the CG, oh gosh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Because the opening scene we talked about where Lana's parents get hit, they're just standing there and a rock hits them. And then like an explosion from like Photoshop just kind of like appears. It's not it was
you
bad. Could do it easily do like MS Paint. You can probably do the same thing. But he won an award, okay. And so Clark saves his life, makes out with Lex Luthor, and here this moment where he gives him mouth to mouth is where Tumblr fan fiction was born. This moment.
This is the moment. They should have, the way that they playing music to hit things on the nose, they should have at this moment played this magic moment.
Should have. Yeah, he straight up gives them mouth to mouth, and like I kid you, like every girl starting to writing a blog about it. Early 2000s blog on Netscape or whatever internet provider they had.
Oh my gosh, AOL.
Furiously typing away.
But this was the moment where it started the weirdest relationship.
Yeah. It's obsession, but genuine like concern and care for like one another. It's so weird.
It's
the relationship between Lex and Clark gets borderline like you're just waiting for them to kiss. I mean, they already did, like, but you want it to be like, just do it already, guys.
There's
throughout the season.
There's bromance, and then there's Lex and Clark.
Yeah, you're just like you have more chemistry with Lex Luthor than you do with any of the other female interests in this show.
Oh man. And so later on we see what's her face, Lana gives Whitney her necklace. They at that point they don't kidnap Clark yet. But Clark and Lana
later on.
But Clark and Lana have a moment. Oh, that's right. So Clark takes off because him and his dad have an argument over him wanting to be on the football team. And then that's after the whole crash, and his dad's like, okay, you're good, move on. But now Clark's still dead set on wanting to be part of the football team. And they get into that argument and they run off, and then Clark runs off, disappears. And then we see Lana riding her horse into the creepiest stinking cemetery ever.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is. Okay, okay. I don't even know what they were going for here, because she goes there. She's a horse girl. Okay, like she's like there to visit her parents. That's where she's there, and she. Okay, the line is, because I have to read this weird dialogue. Okay, she sees him, and she says, Clark. She asks who's there, and Clark's right there by an angel, and he stands in front of the angel. So you only see the wings of the angel behind him. Again, they kind of beat you over the head with this imagery. And she's like, "What are you doing creeping around the woods?" He's like, "You'd never believe me if I told you."
What he's trying to say is, I've always watched you. I'm been following you.
Yeah, like I've been here for you. And so she's like, I wasn't expecting anyone to be out here. And like he's like sad and brooding. I'm like, dude, that's Batman, not you. He's all, I didn't expect anybody out here. She's like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm hanging out in a graveyard.
At first, you don't really catch on to it, but this is where we kind of start getting creepy Clark vibes.
Yeah.
Because we did also see him in his loft with his telescope pointed down towards her front porch.
Yeah, watching her and Whitney, one, make out, two, her give him the necklace. He has a telescope, which he says he uses to look at the stars, but it's pointed at her house.
Yeah.
So that is...
Clark Kent is creepy. I don't remember being like that when I was his age, which I guess his age is 13.
14. He's 14 years old.
So 14 years old.
14-year-old one.
I don't remember being, I mean, I get it. You know, you're like, ooh, girls, look. But not this creepy. Clark's
and not where you're staring at him with I had a telescope, like parents had. It wasn't the Hubble telescope. It was like, you can see like the moon. That's how good it was. I could do that with my eyeballs, but now you can do it a little bit better. And I was like, all right, cool.
But yeah, so Clark is creepy as hell.
Yeah, oh gosh, he like knows stuff about her. Like, so she comes here to the cemetery to talk to her parents, and then he starts to talk to the parents again. This is supposed to, I guess, be like a romantic moment, like between them. He's like, yeah, Lang, Mr. and Mrs. Lang, like Lana's dope, whatever. Like, what does he say? He says, yeah, I'll tell her. Like, and she's like, what do you mean? Like, he says, your mom wants you to know that you'll never be alone, and that she's always looking over you. What he tells her. No matter what. Little
does she know it's Clark just watching.
Yeah, Clark is the one looking over.
And here's another moment where we should have one of those spot on songs, which is what's that one song with I
was gonna be, it feels like somebody's watching.
Yes. Yes.
No, and instead the song that's playing. No, they don't have. Oh, here it is. The one they have is "Wonder" by the band Embrace. When when Clark is looking at Lana and Whitney.
Yeah.
And so that's the one that's playing.
Should have been somebody's watching me.
Oh. And so they have, I guess, they share like this moment. And she's just like, like, you want to hang out? She's like, no, Whitney's my boyfriend. I was like, dude, I was like, dang, it's messed up. He was like, yeah.
Didn't even like let him down easy. She just thought like, yo, Whitney's my man. It's like, dang.
Whitney's my man.
So now we have to
give him a kiss on the cheek.
So now we got
a kiss on the cheek right there. Oh yeah, Whitney watches them like her kiss him. So like fast forward to where we're going.
We're gonna just keep going. Let's so Clark gets abducted by Whitney because Whitney has the necklace now around his neck. They take him out to the field.
Yeah.
They string him up now and put the S, which I mean, come on. We're foreshadowing who he is.
Yeah.
Superman, obviously. Mm-hmm. And this time around, we have, oddly enough, we have Lex again finding a naked boy in the field.
Naked Clark Kent in the field. I don't know how Lex does it. Just finds it.
He just hones in on the half-naked dudes.
Yeah, just to kind of reference the couple other beats real quick. Around the 20-minute mark, the villain attacks an old classmate of him, one of the guys who strung him up. So we want to like just really quick hit that because that he ends up showing up, and he's before Lex finds him, the villain does. And the villain's like, they can't believe they're still doing this. And he's like, he goes, I'm going to get him for you. And Clark is like, how about you just get me down? He's like, nah, I'll be back for you later. And he doesn't even help him. He just was like, nah, I'll be right back. Because then he tells Clark what happened, that he was in the field when the meteors went down. He was in a coma. And when he woke up, a power outage happened, and then that kind of hints at his electrical powers. He's going to go to the homecoming dance, and he's going to kill everybody that's dancing indiscriminately. He's like, all of them need to pay, and that is weird. That he goes from, I woke up from a coma 12 years later, and now I'm just going to murder everybody. That has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to him, because he's already electrocuted the two dudes that strung him up. You find that out in one of the other like parts where, you find out when Clark talks with him, he's like, yeah, he electrocuted some other dude.
Yeah, so then, of course, like you said, Lex comes to the rescue to another naked dude, and it's Clark. He takes off, and he's, obviously he's going to go try to stop the villain, and he succeeds. We'll just leave it at that. He does succeed. The dude drives through. He drives through the wall. He drives through a wall.
He drives through a wall. He tries to hit Clark with a car, with the truck. Clark stops him, and the guy pushes him and pushes Clark through the wall.
And then then the car hits a pipe and it fills it up, and because of the electricity, he just shorts himself out. That's
he shorts himself out. Like Clark is still, he just shoves him right through a wall. And it says water main. Like there's a huge sign that says water main, and he just drives him right through the water main. I'm like, okay, you're telling us what's going to happen, guys. Okay, good writing.
Everything is on the nose, even the music. The writing's on the wall.
No, what is it? What's the music playing right now? The music was maybe by the Stereophonics when they first started the homecoming dance. Everything I Own by Jude. When Clark sees Lana and Whitney dancing. When Lana and Whitney leave the dance, it's Paul Trudeau, Woodstock Alice, and when Clark arrives after the homecoming and imagines dancing with Lana, it's Everything by Lifehouse. Yeah, the guy gets electrocuted and he ages. Like all the electrolytes that he was producing were expelled, and he actually ages to the age that he's supposed to be. And he remembers nothing. Like he says, I just want to go home. And so Clark just takes him back to the hospital.
Well, no, he doesn't age to the age that he's supposed to be, because it was only 12 years. The dude got old. Old. It's like, how old was he then? How many years did pass, or did it just age him even further past his age? But
he doesn't know where he's at, and Clark's like, I'll just take you. He just says, I'll just take you back to like your home or something like that.
Yeah. So, well, there's a lot that we were trying to fit into a 30-minute window, and
we have to cover the weird dance scene, though, dude. Guys, we have to cover it. Okay, so Lana shows up to the barn where Clark is over there trying to stare at her through the thing, and so she's like, "I saved a dance for you," and they start to dance, and then he like just says like, he goes, "Is it good?" And he's like, "It's perfect," and then like he hears a car honk, and he's standing by himself in the barn. That means the entire dance scene that just took place between him and Lana Lang was all in his head. Let that sink in. It was all in his 14-year-old head. Just this full-on dance
6'3", blue-eyed, 20-something-year-old, 14-year-old head.
And she like goes home, and he looks at her, and he's like, "Well, he made this something. He said something stupid." Let me find the thing. He says, "Thanks for the dance, Lana." Okay, she doesn't know what's going on. She's going home right now. They just dropped her off at her house, and he's looking at her from his barn, which is again creepy. And he's like, "Thanks for the dance, Lana." Gosh, this guy has issues. Then she turns around, looks up, and you think it's looking at him, but we'll stop that. That's there because this is a weird thing, and this episode links directly into the next episode.
It does, which I didn't catch on until I rewatched it. But so again, we're trying to fit it in so we don't go too long, but we went a little long, and I hope you guys are okay because this is our second episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot shorter than the first time around, so this is actually episode 2.1, but we're getting better, which actually we're going to keep getting better as we go along, as we're trying to get through this. But so to recap this whole thing, Clark is a 20-something-year-old, 14-year-old, creepy as hell, and that's what we're introduced to in the first season or the first episode of Smallville. He loves Lana.
Yeah.
We're going to have a villain of the week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a villain of the week for the first season for sure. And as we get into these villains.
And Lex isn't really the bad guy the first seain.
Yeah.
Or even I wouldn't even say the second season.
You know what? Honestly,
so there's a love story between.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a love story between Clark and Lex, and Lana and Clark. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So that is episode 1 of Smallville. Very chopped up. Hit the highlights. If you guys have any comments, anything that you guys want to put in that we may have not discussed, and maybe we'll just chime back into you guys, you can reach us at the Geek Saga, which I just put up pictures on our Instagram in reference to, well, actually, this is going to be, I put up pictures last week because when we actually post this up, I put pictures up for the first time. So, yeah, look at that. We're moving on up. So, our Instagram is the Geek Saga, all one word. And you guys can check us out there, DM us, or make comments to whatever pictures we do put up. Also, if you want to email us, you can at thegeeksaga20@gmail.com. Put likes, comments on our YouTube channel, because that's where this is actually going up, which is going to be The Geek Saga. And you could hear us here until we decide to move on to somewhere else, but you can hear us here for free. And pass the word on about us to all your geek friends that are out there. And remember, despite the cooties are out there, try to visit your local comic book stores and game stores, anything that is geek related, and support.
Yeah.
Especially the smaller guys, because they definitely use it.
Yeah, definitely anything local. if there are movies playing in your local theaters, again, the movie going experience is like super cool, and I don't think chilling at your house is really gonna ever take the place. And so if you guys can go see a movie, check out a drive-in if you guys want to be, a little bit more COVID friendly. There's still some around, and that's a pretty good experience. I actually love the drive-in experience.
Or heck, if you guys got a projector and can build a screen, bring some friends together, be outside, and try to put your own screening on. That's what some other companies were doing for a while, and then now the cooties. But anyways, again, get out there, support things that are geek, friends that are geeks. Etsy, you can find stuff on there too of people making things. And
Etsy, Redbubble's a good place if you guys like stickers.
Yeah. Or, not to toot my own horn, but check out Rylos Cause, which is an Instagram that has to do with cosplay building and things like that. And you could actually, if you want something built, DM and see if it could be made possible. But again, so this is episode number 2 of the Geek Saga. And again, it was fun. I enjoyed myself as always. And I'm Eugene, and my host with the most,
Jose.
And this is the Geek Saga, and we're done again.